people are billing it.
I like that idea.
That's not how it works for me, dang it.
That's right, were you here that time either? I might have appointed you when you weren't here too.
No, you immediately said new members go.
We
End of
did
story.
through-
That was the story I was told.
That was the story 8 years ago or 9 years ago.
So it sticks, dang it. It's like initiation.
Come on.
Movies have gotta go.
It's,
The other thing I was gonna ask is, we had a book on being a new school board member at
oh
one
yeah, I
time.
still
Is
have
that,
that.
do you have that?
I'll give that to you. Sure, I'll pass that right on down.
Are you
If I wanted
monitored
to
to come
get
back
something in the
in?
mail from Focus, what it's called, I think.
Focus too. We already had it from WASD and.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah, right.
Okay. But it's less money, it's less than we were looking at.
Yeah.
It works with,
It was less than that.
and it works with,
Are we rolling?
It's not, yep, we're good.
Are you ready, Katrina, for your big debut?
Oh my God. Yep, ready, let's go.
All right. Josh and Bryce, you ready?
Yep.
All right, it's 6 o'clock, so we're gonna call the meeting of the Highland School Board to order. First item is the roll call by the clerk.
Benish, Dreschmeyer,
Here?
Drury,
Here.
Esser,
Here.
Mitchick, Schimick, here, Jaeger.
All right, thank you. If you could stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item is posting of the meeting given to the public pursuant to Wisconsin statute 1984. A motion by Esser and a second by Drury. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is approval of the minutes from the April 14th regular meeting.
Should I make a motion to approve?
I'll second it. A motion by Schimick and a second by Esser to approve the April 14th meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is approval of current expenses and vouchers payable.
So we have a longer list, and that was explained to me by Linda that there was something different with software that broke down a bunch of accounts separately. That's why the first 2 pages, it's usually not not that long and not that detailed. She says everything is correct, but something with the software that printed out this way with all these different line items in detail.
Ashley, can you get those?
But on the fourth page, there's some things to point out. We have, trying to pay forward. I think we've done year after year, things like software renewal for Apogee for $4,900. Elementary scoreboards for $9,400 are on there, and that's out of the maintenance budget. College up tuition, about 2/3 of the way down, $1,500 for some of those students we approved, I think it was last month, to get tech school and high school credit in the fall. Page 5, there's more library books, and a lot of the library books that we order from Follett are paid for by the Common School Library Fund that we receive money to the state for that. Frontline Technologies software renewal that has to do with our educator effectiveness software for teacher evaluation. In the middle of the page, Kevin Winkus Construction, $1,991. That's for a bunch of the work by the softball, baseball fields and finishing that up. Maybe some other things he did on the grounds. Other than that, more software securely, $1,575. And the last page, smart boards. These I think are 7, a pack of 7. And this will, most likely that's coming out of some of the ESSER funds. It was in his budget though, so we have an option of figuring out if we want to use some of that ESSER money that we have, if we want to use the budget, or if we want to figure out to put more money into Fund 46, what the advantages are. So Linda and I need to work on that and then bring that either to the full board or committee in June.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion by Hester and a second by Drury to approve the current expenses and vouchers table. Is there any discussions or other questions for Bryce? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is public appearances before the board, not for action. And just before we have any other appearances, I just wanted to welcome Ashley Yeager to our first board meeting, and we appreciate you joining us and replacing Greg, and look forward to working with you. Thank you. Anybody else have anything for the public appearances? All right, on to announcements and reports. Josh, you're up first.
All right. Obviously, May is a crazy time of year for the district, a million things going on and wrapping things up. So as we've talked previously, just another reminder that our school year for elementary kids will end on the 27th. For our middle and high school kids will be on the 25th, pending they are passing all their classes. If they are not, then we are extending our school year for the next 2 weeks prior to the previous. And then extend that into the first week in June. So our workday, instead of now the 28th of May, will now be the 4th of June. So it'll be the next Friday, just over a week to hopefully get them to passing so we can be in good standing and start to fall off on a better note. So in our elementary right now, we just had our concert last week, Tuesday, for our general music. Miss Lichty did a great job, finished it up. And we were able to do separate sections and not limit our guests, and it worked out very well, I thought. We were able to get all our kids through and home safely, and they did a good job, so that was great to see. Middle school, they are doing some projects outside with the weather, cleaning up out front, doing some of those things, finishing up their year in a couple weeks here, so they'll be done, obviously, with their school year and then getting ready for their next fall. Summer school numbers, which, as you know, is 95% our elementary kids, they are rolling in, so we got some good numbers again, so I think our summer school will be some really good numbers again this year.
Hi.
No problem. High school, we have our concert tomorrow night for our middle and our high school choirs and bands. We were able to get our FFA banquet in beginning last week, so that went well. SCPs were finished up, the senior exit presentations, got those in. Every student was able to get those completed and do the presentation. As you know, graduation is a week from Saturday, so I am going to ask, obviously, each of you, we can do that now if you want, but as far as our 8th grade graduation and our high school graduation, who would like to be the board representatives as far as the diplomas? So if you have those for me now, I can take that. Baseball and softball team, they're a little scuffling right now. They're hanging in there, playing a ton of games all week, every week now till the middle of June here. So it's go, 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 go. But boys got their win last night against Lancaster. So that was nice. Girls have been playing better, so I think they're ready to turn a corner here and get things rolling. But they've been in. They lost the last 3 of the last 4 by 1 run each, so they're right there. So. I think, one more thing in our elementary, we had 2 students in our 2nd grade class that did very well at a writing contest, and they went on to the next level. So when that gets completed, I'll share that probably next month with the kids that did that and how well they did. So. And just some thank yous that I want to recognize. I want to recognize TriStar pallets and mulch. They donated some mulch that we use in our gardens around here. And I also want to recognize Kevin Winkus for his time getting, as you noticed on the north side of school, we seeded that lawn down, moved a bunch of dirt around. So he donated a bunch of the time that he had 2 skid steers up here. Mike was on one, he was on the other. And he donated all the time that Mike was on his skid steer and the hours that we used. So I want to thank Kevin Winkus and his work on that. And lastly, since this is our last meeting before the end of the school year, I would just like to recognize all the staff this year and all the students for, it's been a hell of a year. It's been probably the toughest, I know it's been the toughest that I've had since, I started here, how many years ago, 11, 12 years ago. And, we're going to have graduation on Saturday, and it's going to be indoors. We're going to allow 18 guests per family. We're going to have the 50-year grads. Mike was able to lay it out so we can get everyone in here, we hope. As far as 18, we get a lot of people and still keep it safe and still have anyone that wants to announce a scholarship. We're still going to have our 50-year grads. The band will not be playing. Ms. Straka's boy is also graduating, so his party's the same day. So they're going to record some music if we want to do that and play that. But overall, I just want to say how proud I am of the kids, how proud I am of the staff and how hard they work. And it was a tough year for them having to do virtual and teach both ways, many of them all year. But we were able to keep almost all of our kids in-house for most of the time. We were able to have our fall sports, homecoming, a prom, dance. We were able to do a ton of stuff that a lot of schools weren't able to do. So I am thankful for you guys for allowing us to recommend those things and go forward with those things. I just want to especially thank just people that really went above, like Linda Lou, obviously did all her work from home this year and was able to do it. And it's not as easy as you might, you can expect, not being in district and stuff, so he's able to do all that from home, so we appreciate that. Brad Tucker, as you know, is just, with all the technology, he's just been doing a ton of extra stuff all year. I don't know how we didn't come close for all the extra stuff that Brad has done this year. Coach Aid, head maintenance, it's just been crazy. And he's been outstanding, working a ton of hours and getting stuff done. Our AD, Lynn, it's been an absolute nightmare to be an AD this year. She's a trooper, obviously still teaching 5th grade, getting all that stuff, all the extra stuff, all the changes, and obviously that's not ending now through softball here. Barbie has been doing a ton of extra stuff. Every day we come in and we've got, this teacher, we need aid here, we need this covered, we need this covered. As you know, finding substitute teachers was extremely hard this year, so the staff was able to help out. Barb organized a ton of that stuff, so I want to thank her. Sharon, our school nurse, her role this year is 180 degrees different than it's been in any other year. And she was a trooper. She did a ton of stuff for us to try to keep us as safe as we possibly can, and I want to thank her for all of that. And then someone you may not know or know is Trevor Sigenthal. He was a student teacher here last fall, finished up in January, and we were just able to keep him here as long as we could. And he's been here, subbing here, subbing there. I even had him mow lawn one day. So I got that guy, and he's just, he just got hired at Monticello for next fall, so good for him. He's going to be a great teacher. He's going to be a FIAD teacher, but he has been just awesome for us. So super sub, we've been calling him. So Mr. Keeler just had a baby, his wife, obviously, their third. So now I got Trevor in the English room for now till the rest of the year, probably, or close to it, if not the rest of the year. So anyway, just a big shout out to all the staff. Shout out to all you guys for all the extra stuff that this year has been for us. And overall, we're going to look back and I think it's a good year considering all the stuff we've had done. So that's it for me, Mike.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, I appreciate that, and you and Bryce as well. It's been a really hard year, and nobody's happy, with anything that's going on, but I'm hoping that we made the best of it. I think it was good having the kids here all year as much as we could, and getting sports in and doing as much as we could to keep things as close to normal as possible, considering nothing's normal. So thank you. On the graduation, I would do both of them if you need people. Otherwise, if there's other volunteers.
I will do the 8th grade.
Jenny, 8. Mike, 8. Anyone else for 8? You guys okay with these?
I'll already be there. Don't want a lot of you.
Yeah, do you want to be on stage?
No.
You sure?
Yep.
All right, high school? I have Mike. Andy, you want to do high
I'll
school?
be there.
You want to be on stage or no?
Wait, if somebody else wants to.
I can do it if no one else wants to. I'll be there.
So Mike and Katrina?
I was there 2 years ago.
I'd rather just be mom.
Yeah, I
Okay.
figured. I get it.
So how would you guys want to hand the diplomas? Do we want to hand them to them? Do you want to shake hands?
You guys can do that. We'll just be there. All right. For me, I'm okay just standing there.
Okay, you all right with that? Kenny? All right. Ashley, do you want to take a dive into that your first year?
I feel like that's not a first year thing.
Okay, gotcha. Barb, would you get those for me?
Got it.
Awesome. All right, thank you, everybody. I think we're covered. I guess I do have a little 5K one. If you want to come to that one and do that, you're more than welcome. But that one will be about
That
15
sounds
minutes.
more like a new.
Can you move that closer?
I have 8 o'clock.
Thanks.
All right, Bryce.
I talk a lot during the rest of the meeting. I'm just going to talk about the recommendation that administration have about the mask wearing. Josh and I have been talking about this and talking with other districts. we would like, we made some movement last board meeting about outside requirements and loosen up on the outside requirements. What we want to see happen is, starting first day of summer school, that'd be Monday, June 7th, I believe, is that right, Dave?
No, it'll be 14. Is it 7? 7, sorry, my fault.
That we would have, kind of take the stance of masks that are recommended but not required. And that would be for everybody in our buildings. That would be for all of us working and custodians. That would be for teachers. And I think there was one thing that came up that Josh had mentioned, that somebody is teaching a foods class, and that teacher would like people to wear masks during while they're making food. Otherwise, we would like to try this. We won't have as many people in the building. We won't have required attendance for that. There's going to be quite a few people involved though. And my thinking was, I'd like to try to pilot this and see if there's any adverse, any outbreaks or any reaction or people getting positive tests as a result of this. Give us a little information to go on into planning our school year. If it doesn't go well, we know that. We know we may have to do some things differently. I think we still, be smart about distancing and not putting kids right on top of each other. But we can just go with the starting of that. And the same thing, if there were problems, if people were getting sick or something, we may have to change it midstream. Like, that's kind of how we've operated all year, that we have a chance to adjust. So it's open for any discussion. I want to see what the board thinks about that. Obviously, Mike is talking about nobody's happy. I mean, there's two ends of this discussion. And, some people maybe aren't comfortable with this, but I think, on the downside of this, there's still, I attached a thing from, it should be on your agenda, from the DHS talking about, it's still a heightened amount of positive cases in certain age groups. Things they are going up, but they're going up. It's a lot smaller number. I think we are on the right end of this. And they talk about, the mask is one mitigation measure, but distancing is a big deal. Contact, if we watch some of that stuff, I think mask removal would be a step. And I think it also could operate if there's certain parents that come in or certain meetings that some of us are involved with. Some people would feel more comfortable with a mask, would want some of us to wear a mask in a meeting. I think we can arrange that. But it would be, the stance would be like, we recommend masks, but they're not going to require.
You mentioned that you talked to other schools. Are other schools giving that a shot too?
Yeah, there is, basketball just did it, but other schools are doing it. Other schools have already gone, probably some northern schools that went without masks, earlier, like a month earlier than this. They're already going without masks. Some of you may have read about Luxembourg Casco, who did that. And then the conference teams or the athletic conference started canceling games. They said, if you're going to finish the year without requiring masks, we're not going to put you on our schedule. So I think they met Monday night and reversed it because of that. Because that's the one thing. So there's whatever your beliefs are about how safe it is and what's best for kids. But in athletics, the rules are still the rules. If somebody tests positive and then if you sit too close to them for 15 minutes, that person would be quarantined because of close contact, or if not quarantined, they would be excluded. And so you could screw up your games or your athletic teams if you still did. And that's not the mask, that's the distancing or a hug or, touch or something. So the athletic teams that are still playing on June 7th and after should keep their distances and just be smart about it. That we don't have some teams going to regionals or sectionals or, getting on a hot streak and then it ends because we have to send people home.
Will the no parents in school still be
You know what?
for the summer, not having parents
I
in
didn't,
school?
I didn't talk about that. I don't think it would be an issue with parents personally because there's not near the same number of bodies in the school. I think we can loosen that up too. I mean, and then I don't know what, we got the exercise rooms and some of that. I think we can operate as normal. I don't know if that's ever crowded with people early in the morning. I mean, usually those things are, people come to those and are not problem getting people to stick with that, so.
No, they haven't.
Has there been any positive tests? Like when's the last time we've had a positive test from a staff member or a student?
Don't know.
It's been a while. We do have one getting tested right now, but our last few that have been tested, have all come back negative, which is nice, obviously, but we haven't had one in a while, I don't think. But I guess what we'd like, in a nutshell, we just like to take steps, as Mr. Bird said, to getting back to whatever normal would be next fall. Right now, we still have people, I had a principal's meeting yesterday, and you asked about what the schools are doing as far as masks. And the schools that we probably had in the 75% of the Six River School at the meeting yesterday, and they're all doing the recommended not required masks for the summer school. So.
And then what about the staff? Will staff be recommended and not required too?
Correct. If a staff member is uncomfortable with that, obviously, I have a staff meeting again this Friday with the elementary staff, and we'll talk about that. I put a survey out to them, and either they said masks are fine not wearing with them, or they're okay either way. They did say, or we would say, if you have a child in your classroom that, wants the teacher to wear a mask, we're gonna do that. Or if a parent calls, hey, could you wear a mask? We're gonna do our best to, make it as comfortable as we can for every kid. It is going to be multi-age, what we didn't have this year. Obviously, we kept kids in their pods, but it will be multi-age for our summer school. So, we're getting closer. So, we're not saying that COVID's not out there. We're not, throwing everything out, but we are still going to be safe. We're still going to do what we need to do. But I just think we need to take those steps to hopefully get back to no masks, hopefully this fall. Now, can a million things, as you guys all know, change before then? Sure. But I'd like to get all the desks back in the classrooms. We still have, as you probably noticed coming in, we still have desks in the hallway where kids are doing virtual, or not virtual, but through a computer in the hallway, because we still have kids 6 feet apart. We have storage units back here that we need to do something with. I want to get those things out of there, get them back in the classroom if we want, or get them out of there so we can get the storage units out. So, I think this is the next step to do that, and hopefully with these small steps, families that are leery, a little concerned, hopefully they can grow a little confidence, be a little more comfortable with what we're doing, and by next fall, not have to wear these things. So that's our goal.
So are you looking for approval on it, or just telling us what you want to do?
No, we don't, right, Mr. We don't need a vote on this, but
We're not, we're doing like we did before, but if you voice your opinion that it's not a very smart idea, then, that's up for discussion too, that. If you guys are okay with it, that's what we would proceed with.
I'm all for it.
I as well, all for it.
110%.
And again, as you know, if things get where it's a little, there's some cases out there, things like that, we can always, buckle her down, so.
Well, we have to try, and I think it's important too to keep in mind that because we've been wearing these for a year now, that there's probably gonna be a little bit of a curve because these kids haven't had direct exposure to each other. So even if there are some sniffling noses, let's not panic right away, but give it a try and see where we can get.
I agree.
So, Bryce, I think, the community is pretty vocal about this, and we've heard from a lot of people. I just want to make sure that the group of people that isn't voicing their opinions that maybe wants us to see the protection, just to acknowledge that. I guess you guys will get feedback as it comes to summer school, if people are uncomfortable with that, just to acknowledge that, make sure that the kids aren't treating the other kids differently if they choose to wear masks, some of that stuff needs to be emphasized. And, maybe there's a compromise if you've got a group of parents that is really adamant that maybe one of the classes or a couple of the classes can have masks. Just some thoughts to think about, but I think we've been doing this by consensus, and I think you have that for going forward with this, so just some other thoughts that I wanted to throw out there as well. And a month from now, things may be different again, and that's why we haven't been voting on this, just because we could vote today and there could be an outbreak and you decide to go to mask and we don't have another meeting before then and we don't want to call special meetings. Or we could say no to this and in another 3 weeks, things are a lot better and change. So it's so fluid that letting you guys make those day-to-day calls and then checking in with us every month is a good way of doing that. And we'll see how it goes and have some more discussions before the fall then.
We'll just get that out. Draft that goes out in an email to parents.
Yeah, we can send it all out through Infant Campus.
Will that be sent out to all parents or just summer school parents or just elementary parents?
So I'll send it out to district,
I think everybody, because it'll be,
I want to be aware of it, so like I said, if those small steps people know, even though they don't have a kid in summer school, or it's a high school parent, these are the steps that we're taking, so everyone's on, if they have a concern, they can obviously address that.
sounds good.
You have anything else now, Bryce, or
No,
anything
I'm
else is getting covered later?
Yeah. Other than at the end, we set other meetings, right?
Yep. All right, on the policy development and review then, we have the second reading of the policy revisions for Neola.
And so, how do you pronounce it? Pteridictilosis head lice policy. I talked with Sharon Frederick and we agreed on option 3, which was last board meeting, we didn't have this option. So option 3 has to do with returning the student in the class to the classroom until a parent picks them up. And so that is the option that we are going with now. That was the thing that we discussed the most. And part of this is in the history, we haven't had that many. And it doesn't seem to be that much of a problem, but in the best interest of the kids.
Will there be no notification to the other parents then? And normally there's a letter goes out or notification to other kids and that there's a lice.
I think that procedures are the same. It's not necessarily a policy, but she has a list of procedures, but
It says communication from the school to parents directly and through parent and classroom education to the students will help increase the awareness of both parents and the child. So it's
But I
not-
think that's just for the child that's.
And the classroom.
Does it? Or-
I thought we were talking before that you were saying that just that parent, like other children, when you notify other children's parents.
Right. But now, from what I'm reading, it says communication to parents directly, parents, plural.
it says for both parents and the child, so maybe that is just the parents.
It's not a really clear sentence. I don't know if that means that there will be sense or if it.
But I think that's procedures that the nurse follows, and that's can be separate from board policy as long as it doesn't contradict. And she had sent me, I can't I can't find it, she sent me her procedures, but the thing we were stuck on is where the kid goes. But whether we notify all parents in the class that one of the kids in the class has head lice, that's what you're asking.
That's what it had been, right?
Yeah, that's what it has been, and
We're not
that was one
changing
of the recommendations to not do.
To not do that is what one of the recommendations, we were talking about last meeting. And I
Yeah,
don't know
that was
if
in
that-
the-
We have some, I deal with frantic parents calling and saying, my dryer's not working, there's a lice outbreak. You gotta come fix my dryer right away.
Well, see, then they wouldn't know, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
But no, I just think some, I might have some scared parents, and all of a sudden I find out they have lice and two of their other kids have it now too, and we haven't let anybody know.
But you're saying that that is not recommended to let,
It wasn't with the, stuff that, what is his name again?
Neola presented.
Yeah, Steve had presented, that was not recommended to send the letter out. Because,
Of singling out the child.
yeah,
We know how often there's like secondary.
Like
Not
2 or
very
3
often.
a year, if that, I mean,
Families,
1 a year.
2
is what
families
was
a
said.
year.
right. And the statistics of it being spread are very slim
Right.
in the classroom, especially if the, you know, the older kids, not 4K.
that's separate from the policy, and I can follow up on that, but are you saying,
This all looks good though.
I think it all looks fine. It looks like the kid does go back to class after it's been,
Only if the parent can't get there.
right, which is
So
good,
that the kid isn't sitting in the office all day. if the
Right.
parent can't get there.
because then there's, again, no more singling out, making the child feel inadequate.
And missing out on education.
and then the last
And education.
paragraph is the, you check that we have a policy of no live lice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I think other than needing to know if we are going to inform or not inform parents in the classroom, is that the question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with sending them back to the classroom too, if that's a big issue, but I still think if we haven't been notifying other parents that, you know, they should kind of be on the lookout and say, hey,
Well, it's one way to keep it down though too, like if every parent knows about it, they can keep an eye on it.
Well, we could, it'd make more sense to, if we did that, that would be, there's been, we've had one situation with head lice in the elementary, or kind of keep it broader than second grade classroom or something, maybe a little bit better, maybe.
I'm sure.
Is that?
Or if you could just send out things saying, be sure to be checking your kids, it is that time of year.
Season?
Right,
kind of thing.
I like that idea. of
Because when
being
I get a
broad.
letter, my kids are like, ooh, who is it, you know,
Right, always.
It draws more attention.
it does.
Yeah.
And I'll check with, I don't, maybe she even I don't know how she has that, but I will check with her. And I can send that out to you guys, I don't know what we have.
I like the idea of it being very broad. Don't make it so like just the second grade classroom doesn't know, like, make it that it's, you know, check your kids.
It's life season.
Yeah,
If you need any information from Sheriff, let us know.
because then we are still, technically, we are notifying you. We just didn't notify you that it, you know, specifics,
They were a little paper to put in the last.
yeah, which HIPAA's.
And like you said, Josh, a lot of times it's multiple families, and so if you start sending out a couple grades, it's pretty easy to identify.
This way it's broad.
Mhm.
And the other policy, but it hasn't changed, we presented it this way last time, it was library media policy, and that, you know, we took the major goals on this policy, the only change at the bottom of the first page, we crossed out fines for returning things late. I mean, there's fines if you don't return them at all, but we didn't want to manage that, so we took that out. And that's the same as it was last meeting. And actually, we have a policy service that updates our policies 2 times a year, and reviewed by attorneys in Wisconsin. So they give us options and things, and that's a fun committee to be on. Well, the good thing, it's 2 times a year, but it allows us to be updated and also allows not to spend, I mean, if you talk to your dad or your grandma, they probably did this every board meeting when they were on the board, something with policies. Every agenda had that, so. This is limits that we still, I mean, so this is, we had some things that were presented back, especially on the headlights that we wanted to get corrected. And so it's an extra meeting on this, but actually it would be the second meeting on all of them. And so after this meeting, these would become our policies and they'll go on a searchable search engine. It's on the website. So it's very efficient and you can actually be caught up. At least for 6 months, you can be caught up.
Make a motion to approve both the headlights and the library.
Shimmick, I second the motion.
And there's additional edits in there too, Bryce, other than just those two that were posted, right?
Well,
For the Neola, or were those?
not since the last meeting.
Okay. Alright. Alright, so we have a motion by Benish and a second by Shimmick to approve the second reading of these policy revisions. Is there any more discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. On to new business. So tonight is our board reorganization and election of officers. And just a reminder of where everybody is at is I'm the president, Kenny, your vice president right now. Todd Mitchell is treasurer and Andy Benish is clerk. So I'm gonna turn it over to Ken to run the start of the election of officers.
All right, so we'll start with the floor with recommendations for school board president. So you'll need to nominate someone.
Nominate Mike Rushmeyer.
Second. Oh, yeah. First, before we do that, is there any other nominations before we do that?
For president?
For school board president, yes.
I think is it, we have to legally ask 3 times? Is that the rule of thumb there, Kenny?
Oh, not my second time now, so. Third time. Anyone else want to nominate anyone else for school board president? Hearing none, I'll take a second nomination from Brent for Mike as school board president. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, Mike, for school board president.
All right, we'll move on to vice president then. I'll take nominations for vice president currently held by Senator.
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? I don't see any other nominations, so if anybody would want to make a motion to approve.
Should I make a motion to approve?
Motion and second to approve Ken Esser as vice president. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next one we'll do is clerk, currently held by Andy Benish.
I second that.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close nominations and take a motion.
Make a motion to approve Andy as clerk.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Next one is treasurer, currently held by Todd Mitchell.
Did you talk to Todd at all, or is he-
I did not talk to Todd, but
I thought at last meeting, he mentioned he was fine with continuing studies.
Dude.
I swear he said that on, did he say that on the computer? I swear.
I believe I did talk to him, and he was okay with his current position.
Okay.
And he should have known if he wasn't coming tonight.
And I reminded him of that. He says, I'm not the newbie though. I said, well, I understand that. I'm not here.
All right, we have a nomination for Todd Minchuk. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Are there any other nominations? Any other nominations? All right, not hearing any more, we'll close nominations, and is there a motion to approve Todd as treasurer? All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're all set with officers, the same as last year. Did on that quicker, but good enough. Committee assignments. So if you click on the current committees there, we will make this a little bit quicker. If anybody has anything they would like to change, let me know. Otherwise, we don't need motions on this. I get to appoint committees, so I'll just appoint them. And my recommendation right now would just be to take the name Debo off of all of these and insert Jaeger. That will be easy, and it will get you on the policy committee, which is a great place to start. And then as an alternate on some of the other committees that meet a lot, which means you may get to, well, actually not on finance, but on building and grounds that you can get to as well. Anybody else have any changes?
So the question is Katrina wanted to stay the CISA and WASB rep.
Yep, that's on our list too. I think Katrina, we talked at this meeting about you staying as the CISA rep, and as far as the school board delegate, I think we're gonna insert Ashley Yeager there for now, and she's gonna check her calendar for January when it comes out, and if something comes up between now and then, we've made the switch before as well.
The CISA meeting is really a good meeting to go to as well if you have time. We don't have to just have one.
And the same thing with
Yeah.
the school board meeting, we need an official delegate to vote on their proposals at that meeting, but anybody that's interested in going there for some of the training sessions and stuff, it's actually a good training and networking, and it's a very good conference to go to, so. We all kind of pick on it, but it's very good. All right, if everybody is good with those are the changes and assignments we'll make for the board committees. And then we can move on to the 2021-2022 CISA 3 contract.
So I just handed out something for you that just shows the different choices of services. And so we've taken a limited number of services. I'm recommending to keep the things that we've had in the past. And one thing we have are some of our therapies, we go directly through a hospital with that. Actually, if we keep the same things, our cost will be the same as it was last year. However, what they sent out is showing a drop. That's because 2 years ago, we had vision services of $5,724 down toward the bottom of the first page. And we actually didn't have that this year, but it was put on there. We're not paying it. Linda had said this, this is, this student has left, we don't need the services. And so that's not in our bill, but for some reason it didn't get taken out of this document. So actually the cost would be exactly the same as it was this year. It would be $31,161. Then I also put another letter that Jimmy Nutter, who's agency administrator, put out. He's just kind of explaining some of the things he's trying to do and sharing of staff and things that he's trying to do to keep the cost lower. I know one thing that's changed in recent years, since he's been there in the top, we would always pay, everybody pays administrative fee, and then he's got $1,000 for facility maintenance. And it used to be when we would hire an employee or share an employee through that, we would, pay for the costs of their salary and benefits. And then we'd also get an additional charge for administrative fees or maintenance fees on top of that. And my argument always was, well, we've already paid that, so if you're gonna charge us, then this other area should be reduced, but it never was. And so I think when he was a superintendent, I think he saw that was going on, so he doesn't do that. He charges it up front, and then when you're sharing some of these, if you ever share people, like, for example, we had talked to him about the need to develop possibly a teacher or hire some teachers that could teach virtual from CISA. So if we have people that are afraid to send their kids or not comfortable, maybe some of us could join in, help cover the cost of the teacher, and we still retain them for our account. And we could do it at a lower cost if you could, work through it that way. So that may be forthcoming if there's a need for that, but old way, it would be cost of the teacher, their salary and benefits, and then another charge. But he basically just passes the cost through and makes little or anything on those type of deals. So my recommendation is to keep the same things we currently had this year, and it would be at the same cost.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Esser and a second by Benish to approve the 21-22 CISA 3 contract, which is the same as last year. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is approving open enrollment applications. It looks like we got 2 out and 10 in.
Bart put the details in there. Something that isn't always, you still can't always tell from some of these. So sometimes somebody is newly open enrolled out, but they've never been in our district. They maybe moved into our district or want to continue in Iowa Grant or continue in Fenimore or something. We still, it's an open rollout student, but basically in those cases, we have money that we never would have had. Obviously, we'd have more money if they came to our district. And we want, obviously, you want to have more students in than out usually. Unless they all come in the same grade and you have to hire another teacher, that creates cost. And I know that we're talking with Ithaca some years. They got a lot of open enrollment in, and it was really, it was really a good deal until superintendent saying, well, we're getting 2/3 of the funding and we have to hire staff, so it's not, and they put a lot of caps on some things.
And these are current open enrollment applications, so they're kids that are here now or starting now, or are they for the fall?
For the fall.
Question, are we actually able to see those applications?
See the names?
Yeah.
No.
No, okay.
So these 10 students aren't in school here this year, is that what you're saying?
Well, I believe one is the enrolled here for the rest are not.
They're currently open, one is currently open enrollment?
One is currently enrolled
Here,
here.
but the other 10 students
But the
are not
other
here this
10
year
are not
and are open enrolling here next year.
Everybody's is in town, so everybody's just smiling at it.
There's them in, Bryce.
And these applications, we really don't have a lot of basis to deny either.
No, right.
The only way we would is we do have an ability to put a cap on the number of students per class, so that we wouldn't go over that and then have to, like Bryce said, end up with 1 or 2 extra kids and then have to hire another grandkid to go to class.
And that is not the case with any of these 10 open enrollees, correct?
Correct, because we.
Well, and we would have to
that
do that as well. And also, just because we have 10 open enroll applications doesn't mean all 10
Will open
Correct.
enroll.
for sure come.
They could be open enroll all over, right?
Rick,
They have multiple.
and they might say, a lot of times they say in the district that they just open no problem. You know, they just, now they have the option to if they want.
Right.
They can always, at any time, go back to their district they live in. Even if they start here and go 2 weeks.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
A motion by Benish and a second by Schmidt to approve the open enrollment applications. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next item is building intercom system bids, and I see there's 3 bids there. And somebody's gonna give us the cliff notes on those.
Yeah, Brad, I'm gonna have Brad. He can do that.
Oh.
He did some other bidding and he's got a better price and he also has, okay, and he also has, I mean, but remember, but through the safety grant, they got a thing called Informacast that would automatically, it's a different way to call 911 from different devices. It would have a faster way of getting an emergency message out. And our current intercom thing doesn't work with that. What if we, for Greg is here, could we go forward to the auditor contract and then come back? So in this area, there's mainly 2 auditing companies, and we've been with Johnson Block. A lot of them have here for several years. So this is a another 3-year bid. And that's on the end of it, it's showing, for the next year, be $13,250, and it increases to $14,150 over several years. A year ago, we paid $13,140 with all the fees. So they put a slight increase in each year. And then sometimes there's other fees that get added in to all these audits if you have a membership audit. Later on, you'll see it's not directly related to the audit, but it kind of is. It's our OPEB or our post-employment costs that we have, and there's like a $400. I guess we paid that through the vouchers, but that we've had good luck with this. Talking to Linda, she knows exactly what they want, how they want it, what reports they want pulled, and so it makes the audit go smoother with the people involved. So I would recommend to go with Johnson Block for another 3 years.
Did we get a quote from the second option?
No. But in my experience, one year we quoted where I was, and there was like a $500 difference. And I wanted to stay with the higher one. It actually was Johnson & Block, but they said no. That's why we bid it. We go with the lower bid and try to explain that it might not work out as good. And then it turned out that it was a company out of La Crosse that was just getting into, we didn't know it, but they hadn't done hardly any school audits, and they really interpreted certain requirements, and it really wasn't worth the money that we saved, and I think after 2 years, we changed back with that. So Hawkins and Ash is the other one.
But they've been around a while too now.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve Johnson Block.
Second.
A motion and a second to approve the auditor contract as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
in the building.
I hear the door, but I don't.
To go get something.
Summer maintenance projects, do you want to go through those quick as long as we're still in new business here?
Yeah, well, it's not much to report, other than the fact that, we're now recommending that we're gonna hold off on the concession stand just because it came in, materials are 3,800, close to 4,000, and depending when we did it, it might go higher, then the labor was higher than we expected. So I don't know if we just hold off on that, or if we wanna ever try to do, the volunteers. It's something that we have never, the building's been in existence 17 years, or we've never done it, so it's just something would be nice, but it's not certainly a need, and, getting close to 10,000 for that, and we'll have to, figure out another way, and we would pay, Melvin drew up the plans, so we'll have to pay what he put together, what his rate would be for that, but, Mike got he only has one bid of the 3 for the roof work, and the other 2 should be coming, so we're not gonna disclose that. I haven't seen if he's got that, and, we approved up to so much money last year, but there really isn't anything other bigger to report. I mean, a few things are done, and, I think for the kitchen, the refrigerator has been ordered.
I think it's coming in Tuesday. Softener's in, new water softener is in, and that's the same place, and that's rocking, so those 2 things are done. Obviously, the seeding of the grounds outside that we talked about is done.
Just need rain.
Need a little more rain.
Going back to the roof bids, is there a date that the bids are due?
No.
Tom Gronetsky contacted 3 of the businesses for us. Only 1 came back, so Mike checked in again with them, and so Tom sent it out again and contacted the other 2 that we're trying to get bids from. They said they're working on it. They're busy, and so
We want that out of this year's budget.
so we
Give me a
did.
recommendation, because you're trying to spend that money in this year's budget, right? I would tell Tom that the bid closes Thursday next week, and we go with what we got. Otherwise, you won't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, they all know it has to be done before July 1st,
I
but
get that, but those 2, if you wait for them to bid, you're not gonna get it done.
What date is that? Calendar out?
Next Thursday? The 20th.
Basically, from next Thursday, you basically have 1 month to complete that work, and based on what I know right now in the construction industry, it's gonna be dang hard to get it done in 1 month,
Okay. Do that.
especially with lead times with roofing membrane right now. So that's,
That will do that.
not to tell you what to do, but I'm just telling you, if you want it done this year yet, in this year's budget, you gotta put a deadline to it.
All right, we'll circle back to the intercom system then, Bryce, is that all right, or
Yes.
anything else on that? Brad, what can you tell us about these 3 quotes we have here?
2 of them are from the same, vendor, Marco, and 1 is from a company on Madison. So I worked with Marco on a few different projects, and so part of the security grant a few years ago is they put in this Informacast, and he said that we could utilize that, software and hardware to do our paging and bell schedule. And obviously that came in lower price, and the amount that you see there for the installation fee, he said that it probably won't be that high. He just had to bid it that high just to cover, because there's a lot of setup in it. So
You want to see
to get
that?
everything working
Did you
together.
look at this at all?
No,
Never mind.
Yeah. So that's why you see that the setup fee is so high. So he just said like I said, the salesman, the guy I've been working with, just said I had to bid it that high just to make sure that I cover everything, but he said most likely it's not even gonna be that high, so.
So which one of these three are you recommending, Brad?
It's the $17,000 one, can't remember the exact amount. The Marco,
Marco two?
yeah, Marco, actually it should say Marco or the Informacast. I think I named that one Informacast.
And you labeled it 17443.71. I did put the bottom.
Yeah, so that's the one that I would recommend. Because we already have the part of the hardware here in place, so, I figured we should use that, utilize it more, and then we don't have to put something new in. And it also saves us money, so.
You know what the first bid was like?
It's the first one was right around $22,000 or $23,000, that was MasterCon, I think.
Okay.
So those are fairly comparable bids, the Mastercom one and the Marco.
Yeah, and then his second one was like 27,000, so.
And what's that one include?
That's just a different type of, different manufacturer name. I mean, they do the same thing, it's just a different vendor, so. So they all do the same exact thing, it's just, like I said, we already had part of the hardware here, so that's why it's saving us some money, so. I did get another bid that was like $65,000 if you really wanted to add a bunch of bells and whistles, so, but I didn't figure we wanted to spend that much money.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the one that Brad recommended.
I'll second that.
A motion by Schimick and a second by Jaeger to approve the Marco 2 intercom system bid here. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, Brad. On the personnel items then, the first one is resolution authorizing contract renewals and issuance of intents to employ. This is our annual thing we do here for employing everybody. Is there any changes then to Schedule A that we should be aware of where people are or what staff we have?
Well, it's just that it's presented that way, but they have to come through and complete their PDP process, so I'll need to be setting up meetings and make that, get that scheduled, so they don't really move for their professional development unless they complete the meeting and complete them.
Otherwise, this list is pretty much everybody returning with the change of Becky Pink for K-12 music and choir.
That's correct. No,
And then we have an additional
correct.
teacher too. sent all these individual ones to all Bryce, and they have until the middle of June to
Yeah,
return them.
June 15th, return. Yes. And it's showing the teacher template is the next item. So I don't know if you do these individually, all motions.
Well, if we approve the resolution authorizing this, that would include the teachers it's going to, and the templates and rejection letters are just part of that, so that's
So,
where we do the resolution is letter A there would be kind of all inclusive.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution, including Schedule A, individual contract template and acceptance/reject letter.
A motion by Esther and a second by Drury to approve the resolution authorizing the contract renewals. Is there any discussion or questions? Seeing none, Andy, we have to do a roll call vote on that resolution. You can look at the resolution and ask for that.
Finish, yes. Drushmeyer,
Yes.
Drury,
Yes.
Esser,
Yes.
Richard, Schimick,
Yes.
Jaeger.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. The next one is approving the 2021-2022 extracurricular assignments. And that's got a template and assignments, but we don't have either one of those attachments.
Nice. See that. No, have those. This is the first time I've done it this way with template and the resolution. I don't know.
So extracurricular assignments, I know they added language in the template last year, just that if seasons were interrupted or cut short, that things would be prorated for their salaries, because the year before that, we didn't have any of that language in there. And I think we ended up paying everybody full price last year anyway, because we got through everything and it wasn't an issue, but that may still be in that language. And then Josh, do you know what the assignments are? Is there any changes or?
Yeah, all the assignments are as is except for two that I can speak to right now. Our assistant volleyball coach is gonna step down, and our middle school volleyball coach is gonna step down, so Lee Drury is gonna step down. So we wanna thank her for her service for the years that she gave us, and then Jessica Weber is our middle school, one of our middle school coaches, she's gonna step down as well. So I just wanna thank her for her years of service. Those two positions will need to be filled.
So you're looking at, is that first supplemental contracts? Is that extracurricular first?
There should be a separate list for extracurricular that includes all the
Coaches and all that.
coaches and different advisors and
It's not done.
Apologize for not getting that.
Right,
Huh?
that's the one that's not complete yet.
Okay.
We should be able to do that yet in June, I would think.
All right. Yeah, we have time in June. We'll bring that back.
Okay. The supplemental agreements then, are those similar to last year? There are changes?
No, no changes. Just want to pass something on. It was mentioned before, but then I got a direct email from Lynn Mitchell asking to relook at her athletic director salary. And the main reason is because she doesn't have any release time. So I can't recommend anything, but what I would do is survey like the conference or the schools that are our size and look at what they get paid. But if they get release time, like they get an hour non-scheduled to work on it, then you have to kind of factor that in. So I see hers is 8,000. I know she came off a busy year, but if what I would bring back is how she fits within that, and if we need to adjust that. So if we would approve her tonight at that amount, we could also, if we decided to change it, we could change it, or she could, we could bring that back next meeting. But I wanted to, the email came in today that she's wants us to review that. If we're doing it, well, I don't have that information right now, but I can get it by next meeting, so I would do that.
I just have a question with regards to that. I know she's had one extremely busy year trying to schedule everything due to COVID and changes from day to day, if not hour by hour. With that, with her also teaching, are we in a position or in a point in time where this is a position where we need to possibly look at someone outside of a teacher role doing that?
Because of the time it might take away from the teaching, because this stuff has to be done.
Correct.
And so if something comes up, you have to.
And I'm not saying that Lynn, I think she does a fantastic job. I just, right now, I think based on this last year and possibly going forward, which we're gonna all have to deal with on that, rescheduling of things, and I think it's becoming more and more of a position that it is just a part-time position within a school district. Now, I'm not saying that it's a full-time position. What I'm saying is there any other duties that someone else could also pick up in addition to that, that could be done?
What's difficult is if she's a secondary teacher, you can schedule periods off. And it could be 2 o'clock every day she has until the end of the day, to finalize things. But when you're an elementary teacher, you don't have, not set up that way. So that's what's difficult. I think she's really good at it. I don't know how all that is handled when she has to, is there rain out, or you gotta get the officials for softball, and you don't get them, so you're scrambling. So when you do it before and after school and during, you gotta do it when you can do it. So if the kids are doing something, I'm sure that's what's going on.
It is, it's hard, and this year has been, as Kenny mentioned, it's been a nightmare. So, as you said, when you're an elementary teacher and you have kids in your room and you gotta get something done where you don't have that allocated time like a secondary teacher would or a middle school teacher might have. So it does make it more difficult, so.
Let's work on that. Maybe there could be some sharing of duties or something.
I'm not, right, I'm just going off of what, obviously I had a child in 5th grade this year. And it is no fault to Lynn as to what was going on. I know she did it out and everything else, but to me, I think the athletic director position based on, like you said, officials, games, time, moving things, changing things, all that stuff. I think there's gotta be, you know, the last minute stuff that comes up with day of or hours before. To me, I think it's more of a position that needs more time and attention to it than it is somebody trying to split time between teaching and an athletic director. And I know there's probably other things that, you know, if it's something we can talk about, or if it's something we wanna do, but I know there's plenty of things around here that many people wear many hats with, that couldn't be taken off someone else's shoulders and put onto that person as well to help alleviate the load of others within that. That's just my 2 cents on it, so it's.
I think it's a good point, Kenny. I know the last time we were looking at changing athletic directors as well, we were having trouble finding somebody that was willing and wanting to do it. And not that you can't make somebody do it, but it is nice having somebody that wants to do it and is good at it. And if Lynn's willing to keep working on that for another year. And I think, you know, moving forward, as we have our discussions about administration transition in the future, I think that's another one of those things that needs to be thrown in the mix when we're talking about different duties of superintendents and principals and administration teams going forward. Maybe we want to talk about it for several years, right, Bryce? But eventually that time will come again.
The one thing, to me, the main difficult thing is that some of those things just can't wait. They trump other things. You can't have a game without officials. You can't, there's certain things that are eligibility things or whatever it is. It's organization, but then you come down to some things just come up and who's taking tickets, who's doing it. It has to all be, if somebody backs out, you gotta find somebody. So I did that for a couple of years and as an activities director, but it was better. The person before me was a half-time teacher and he had all afternoon to do it and he didn't have any interruptions. That was quite an excuse, how I already said, but it's like, he had like from noon on, so he could do everything and he didn't have kids getting sent down for discipline and all those other things going on. So I always thought it was a better, if you had a block of time. And, you know, we look at that, but then what do you want to do for this situation? You want to approve her, you want to wait and see, bring in some topicals and some other ideas and take that position at the next meeting?
Obviously, we still need to have the position it has right now, so I think.
But if we approve this increase, don't we then approve that for whoever else is gonna take over in the future?
Well, right now we aren't presenting an increase. This is just what it was last year. And so the increase will come back potentially in the future at a different meeting.
Oh, I thought there was a conversation being had, Lynn recommended she.
Well, she's looking for, you know, she wants to talk to other people and I'm just guessing maybe they can get something similar, but they have a release time in their schedule. And, you know, I just, for example, I know like Riverdale is a similar way, but he's got, teaches 7 periods, has a prep period and a lunch period. So that's hour and 20 minutes, hour and 15 minutes of no kids. So it works for him. And then before and after school, but,
So she's basically saying she probably has to put in more time before and after school because she doesn't have that.
Prep time.
well, when you have, people that have,
So then that would be the reason for the increase in pay.
it depends how it depends what the but when you look at pay, somebody gets the same salary as her, but they have hour of release time.
Right.
It's like 1/6 or 1/8 of their total compensation. So if that could be 6 or 7 more thousand, so that's only going to get 14,000. So if you don't get that, she's either doing AD stuff during her prep and then doing her school prep at home or before school. And
Is that even something that you can make happen for her to have more time during the day? I mean, it's probably not.
that's what I said, we'd look at that, but it's difficult when you have one class. So it's a secondary teacher, you can shift. But that's,
And her most important duty is teaching the children. When she's failing at that, or if, I'm not saying she is, but if that's
Right, I'm not
happening.
saying that
Right.
she is. I'm
No,
just saying
but
that there's
if
no-
that's happening,
Right. I'm just saying that there's a
can
lot of,
happen.
right, there's a lot of time that's dedicated to making sure the athletic position, or athletic director position flies within the school. And a lot of times that's hard if you're teaching an elementary class, if you're dedicated to students all day long. And then obviously, especially with this year, it's just, the in and out stuff was, requires
well, we will,
anytime changes, rough, whatever was happening, just, it was,
We hope next year is better.
yeah, we're just hoping the next year's better, but I don't know if it's.
That was
obviously,
awful.
Or not, but. I just know it had to be hard
Yes, for her to do both.
and do both well.
Mhm.
And that's where obviously Lynn sees that, and that's why she's asking.
And she should.
Right.
We don't blame her for asking.
but I would base it on comparables, because I wouldn't base it on a COVID year, because as Josh was saying, all these actually, everybody in the organization had a bad year.
Oh, yeah, definitely everybody did.
Yeah, who hasn't?
And it's really hard to adjust anybody's salary because of that, because anybody you leave out, they're saying, well, didn't think I had to do extra, so it's not because of COVID, it's just,
Right.
if she's in she average, or is she below average or above average with comparables, if you adjust if they have time off in their day to work on it or not. So we can look at that and come back with how that fits, and then what you're talking about is another issue, whether it's good to have that lined up with the elementary teacher, or is there another way around it, or some kind of, maybe we break it apart or something, so.
Could you do something, Mike, where you approve it as is, and then pending the AD position, and come back with the AD, that with the rest of them are approved, and we can look at the AD next month? Is that possible?
We sure can approve this without the AD in it. I think we would have time to do that. I guess personally, if Lynn is willing to do it again and you guys can help her make that work better, and see if there's any flexibility there, I would be happy to have her do it again. I think she does a good job with it, and if she's willing to do it and wants to do it, I'd be happy to have her again. I mean, that's just my opinion, so.
But as far as the increase, we can just.
We can change it, yeah.
Well, I think we would just approve it as is, and then if there's anything a change proposed to that, we can always modify it, and it's just good for us to all know that there may be a modification coming rather than approving it and having a bunch of modifications coming afterwards. If we know about that ahead of time, it's good that we can acknowledge that.
I'll make a motion to approve the supplemental contracts.
I'll second that.
Motion by Benish and a second by Esser to approve the supplemental contracts for next year as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item D on here is support staff contracts.
So I think I did some things out of order, we did the wages all last board meeting. So we just use the same document with support staff, lists the same people.
So last month, we kind of approved what the changes in salaries would be, but not actually approving the contracts.
Correct.
Okay.
And then are we still sticking with what our, plan is for as custodial and all that then? As it is right now?
I think we need to hire a 5-hour, I think we need to get to that, hire a 5-hour. Or half-time or 4 or 5 hours per day. I don't know what happened in his email the other night, he was short, but he's just been filling in with either, adult subs or even, he hasn't said much. So I'm not sure what Mike wants to do.
But on this list is a half-time or 6/10 vacant position that can be filled then.
Yeah.
That's why I asked the question, because we still show it as vacant, so that's.
I think it is, because earlier in the year, he was going back and cleaning. And it's like, well, I don't want that either, because he's got a full-time job, and same thing, I don't want, he's got to pay attention to other things, and it's okay here and there, but the only reason we didn't fill it was we thought we would shut down, and we didn't want to have somebody hired, so, and we just kind of didn't pick it back up, so I think that's the plan, that we would hire somebody in the summer. And they would not, and the difference would be in the budget was Jim Esther had kind of was grandfathered with his benefits. This new position would be no benefits, it'd keep it under 30 hours. So it would be less than what it was before in the budget.
Just hope we can find someone. That's done.
Make a motion to approve the support staff contracts.
We have a motion to approve the support staff contracts. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve the support staff contracts. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion passes. The next one are the non-union administrative and support staff contracts. And these we discussed the changes in salaries before too, but then this is approving the positions, right?
Right.
Motion to approve.
I'll second. Wilson.
So a motion by Drury and a second by Benish to approve the non-union administrative and support staff contracts as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. This next one's listed as 2020, 2021
Yeah,
grade
so,
10 advisor, so that's for this year.
yeah, so Shane Keeler took over that position from Jessica Weber had it.
Mhm.
And so took it over, but never was issued a contract. He did the work in it, so he needs to have a contract and to make that right. And it is for this year.
Okay.
I'll make a
Motion
motion.
to approve.
Second.
A motion by Esser and a second by Benish to approve the grade 10 advisor contract for Shane Keeler. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then the 2021 summer school contracts are listed there. And these are similar to years past. Is there anything?
No, it's just, the next item is what I want to talk that's different when we get to that.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the summer school contracts.
Motion by Benish and a second by Drury to approve the 2021 summer school contracts as presented. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And then the last one here, Bryce, is the summer school salary for dual credit courses. And this isn't the summer school for the elementary, this is summer school through Southwest Tech.
Right, so we have teachers, if you, there's always some new law changes, so if you have a master's degree in a content area, so this is, in the past, we didn't have requirements like that, so we had a teacher teaching some math through Southwest Tech, and you get Southwest Tech credits, and you get Highland graduation, credits that would count for graduation, so you're getting dual credit. And it's a pretty unique program because when you do it that way with your teachers, there's an exchange of, you get billed one way, you get billed the other, it's a wash, it doesn't cost us anything. So we get kids that get credit, our only cost is the salary. So Ashley Halverson has done it last year, but she has a master's in the area, so she's teaching like a computer apps class. And I talked to her a few times recently, and she says that she has to cap the class. She has 10 kids. She has quite a few kids in it. It's an 8-week class. It's a couple hours a week, but my recommendation after talking to her is, since they get high school credit, well, mainly since they get high school credit, so she's asking, and I think it's a good idea, that you get paid per diem. So all the other high school teachers that teach for credit during the school year, obviously, or in the summer, if we would get their per diem credit, that would amount to $34 and whatever cents, like 39 cents or something this year. But again, you're getting like maybe 10 kids with this college credit, and it costs you the salary of that for about 85 hours of salary at $35 an hour. $2,500, $2,800, but it's a bargain for the school. And it's also, it's an incentive for people to do that. It's also an incentive for people, if they thought that was an advantage as a staff member, to get set up and do that and make a little bit more money. But it's, so we're going to have some kids doing summer school through, like we did last year, through a virtual option with Southwest Tech. We have the kids that she's doing for dual option, and then we're going to have kids in the fall that we approved last board meeting. So we're getting quite a few kids in a small school doing these dual options. And at first I was trying to do a different schedule, like trying to add $10 to the current schedule to get the same amount. And then it was going to be real cumbersome, and so it just makes sense to do the per diem, what's your, you take out your wage and by so many days and divide it out, and that's what I think is a good deal. And then also check, I don't think there's anybody else that is certified to do it this way. And if you did it during the school year, like if you had a class during the school year and taught math or English or something for dual credit, you actually are getting your teaching salary for doing that. So the difference in the summer is it's just during the summer, but you're still teaching kids for credit. So if you follow me, that's what I think is fair, and it's a good incentive.
So, not about the salary, but why is there a 10-person cap on that class?
I don't know.
So the laptops we have right now, you can't use Chromebooks in this class.
Yeah.
So the laptops we have, and then, so.
Could, if kids had their own laptops, I just know
Yeah.
that then you could do more? Okay,
We could, yeah.
Good question.
because it's open to all kids, I mean, freshmen, and how do you decide?
We don't, I mean, last time we did that, I mean, everyone wanted, we could get in.
Yeah.
So we had to check and say, if they had their own laptop, we had made it work.
Yeah.
We can, if we have to purchase them too, we're not gonna limit it to, you know,
Okay,
so
so if there's more that wanna do it, you will make sure.
we can make it work. It also frees us up to, if we can get half the kids in there and take this done this summer, we don't have to split that class next fall.
Yeah.
That's huge. So then I can save Ashley for a different class, so we can possibly get another accounting or another, you know, right now, as you guys know, our high school numbers are larger. It'll be the largest with our 8th grade coming in and our seniors next year. There are 2 classes as big as they would have in the district, so, which is great. So that really helps us and helps those kids too. If they take it this summer, now they can get a different class in. You know, if they want to take another ag class or if they want to take another electric class, they already have this one done, so we're stuff ahead really. So it's a win-win, I think.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Hesser and a second by Benish to approve the summer school salary for dual credit courses. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Some things to sign, dates for the next board meeting. Does that have all those contracts in it?
No,
Dates for the next board meeting, the regular meeting will be June. let's see, June 9th at 6 o'clock, and then as far as committee meetings, you wanted to have a finance committee before that one, Bryce, or sometime in June before a possible second meeting?
Talking to Linda, we didn't think that the second is it's coming awful quick. You want to have a finance meeting? Well, we talked about, what about a second full meeting in June? Like the 21st or 22nd, Monday or Tuesday. And actually, I scheduled myself for a trip. I'll be leaving 23rd early in the morning, flying out for a wedding thing. And, but to close out the year, to any other things we want to approve as far as purchases and then projections. So one scenario is you have instead of having a finance, finance and then go to the board. I mean, that one on the 21st or 22nd would be primarily finance related, and then we'd all be here to approve. That's what we were thinking this time around. And building and grounds, I don't think there's much except finish up the roof. And that comes in and.
Right.
That might be a conundrum though now, since, as Kenny mentioned, that this is gonna be behind the 8 ball for them to get this done. And is that something that we're gonna have to approve at the board level? If we don't approve that, and we have to wait till the next June board meeting,
It's already
and they're
approved.
not rocking,
It's already approved.
even if it's 3 separate bids, if we don't have them.
If it's within that price range, I would say go ahead and get it done. Right, we gave you a price range, and if you only got one bid and we know that we want to get it done before the end of June, and there's just no other, I mean, if you put out for more bids, I think we should be good.
Just roll.
We've got an estimate from Tom, so we're at least have kind of some sideboards on what's reasonable.
We probably wouldn't need a B&G then. I don't plan to do it.
No.
Wouldn't need it, no, based on what we discussed.
So I was thinking a June 9th meeting and then a 21st or 22nd meeting on the full board, but, it's going to be primarily focused on year end, wrap up the year end.
Can we just have one meeting instead of 2? I mean, what would we do the first meeting that we wouldn't get done in the second meeting?
We may not know exactly how much is in all the accounts and things.
But we have to know by this second meeting,
Yes,
correct?
right.
So that, I'm just saying, so why have the first meeting? Why not just wait until everything is officially officialized and just have it all come together for one instead of 2?
Maybe.
Well, and every time we get together, I mean, technically, cha-ching comes out of the box, every board meeting.
Big money.
Hey, I'm just trying to save us some money. And it's one less night on the way from home. Not that I don't mind being here, but instead of 2 nights, is it a possibility to have it all in one night versus 2? Just asking, sorry.
What's usually in the June?
The first June meeting usually is not that long. I mean, this is typically one of the longer ones, just when we've got the contracts to go through.
I won't be here June night regardless, so I'm in.
You have to issue.
I know there's been times where we've just delayed that meeting for a week or two if we.
The last meeting in June was June 24th, 2020,
Right, but we also had one on the 10th, yeah.
and we had one on the 10th.
Yeah.
And there's a transportation on the 16th.
That's just a bad example of all the,
But that was also when we were deciding what we were doing for next year.
yes.
And the 30th is probably too late, Bryce.
Yeah, Linda said. Linda, you there?
Yes, yes, I am here. We do have to
30?
issue extracurricular contracts. Can you hear me? We have to
Yes.
issue extracurricular contracts before June 15th. So we better meet on the 9th for sure, or shortly after that.
Good thing we got Linda keeping us straight here. So let's
And
just
then-
plan on the 9th for the regular board, and that way we keep our schedule with anybody that's interested in what we're doing as well, and keep it the second Wednesday, and then we can look at that extra meeting. Does anybody know that week of June, whether Monday or Tuesday, the 21st or 22nd is available or have conflicts?
Well, 22nd is better for Todd and I.
Because it's softball, and the
Softball,
21st probably
yeah.
isn't, it's good for me.
Yeah, both of us can't be gone for that.
And it's the 22nd.
Because 30th is too late, right? I mean, we can't, whatever's approved, then to get it taken care of before July 1st.
Right.
Correct.
Oh, there she is.
Usually we have that second meeting in June to approve last minute vouchers because we might have some late bills coming in and we want to get those all paid before the end of June because we can't pay them in July to get them in this year's budget. So that's the reason for the second June meeting, because it seems like there's always something that comes up at last minute.
Tuesday the 22nd would work for me too. Our game is at home that night, so.
So we're having a regular board meeting on,
June 9th,
and then a special board meeting on,
June 22nd.
Same time?
Yep, 6 o'clock. And that will then probably save us a finance meeting. We'll just do it at that board meeting with the whole group instead of a committee and then. Everybody got that then? Okay.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Good night, everybody. Thank you for coming.
One in the books, Ashley. We're still being recorded, so. Just so you know.
Barb, may I ask you, do you need these?
Right.
She's
Sure,
probably gonna want those in June.
Okay. Well, we got new sheets last time.
So she'll probably take those fiscal year.
Oh,
Yeah, wait and put everything for
Yeah,
this
wait
year
until-
from
yeah, wait until
January
June.
on should be the one thing. I think they just handed them out because they didn't know if everybody had them.
oh, it confused me.
So
Okay.
it's not a new one.
Yeah, she'll let us pay those at the end of the year, the end of the fiscal year.
Yep, so have your timesheets ready for that second meeting and then, we'll start over and then we'll go through the end of the calendar year.
Jeff, would you want one of these now? Otherwise they're in here and I can give you one later. I lose them, so I prefer not to have them until I need to turn them in.
Don't matter to me.
Don't give me one. I try to use what you can.
You're right, too organized.
We have diplomas to sign.
Oh, thank God you said that.
I was actually gonna ask you if you were gonna make me come in another time to do that.
No, I'll go get them right now.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I was outside, so I threw on some clothes and got here.
Just let it go.
What's that?
He said, just let it go on the counter.
Oh, right, exactly. Have a good night.
Bye, Will.